Hey guys, ETJ Writes here. So actually I just got done filming another video about the top 5 things that indie authors should invest money in for their books, and you can check that out. I'll put a link in the description box down below when you're finished watching this video. But this is a video all about what I'm reading this month, so really excited to share that with you guys here. Alrighty, so first things first, let me open up my Kindle and see some of the things that I'm on. I still have some of the things from last month that I was reading, and I finished some things as well. So a little bit of a reading update here. I did finish reading the Spin the Dawn, and I wrote a quick Instagram post on it. It was very predictable, and that was a little bit disappointing, but if you like fairy tales, if you like Chinese fantasy, if you like Project Runway, give that a try, and who knows, maybe it'll be your favorite book. It just wasn't mine. Okay, I've really been super excited about the Prism Cloud, well, Prism Cloud's the name of the book, the Harbinger series by Jeff Wheeler, and I actually just finished the 5th book. For some reason I was thinking it was a 6-book series, but it's actually a 5-book series. So I just finished reading that. Oh, I forgot to mention I'm outside, so you hear the cars in the rain. Give it a sec. So I just finished reading that. It's a 5-book series, and it's pretty good. The last book, I feel like the wrap-up was a little bit long, honestly. There's a bug. Hazards of filming outside. I like my stories to kind of punch you at the end, and then very quick wrap-up. I'm not a big fan of long drawn-out epilogues and like, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this happened. Give me resolution, but also let me have something to my imagination, okay? Give me an implication of what could happen in the future. Don't spell it out for me. And I think this spells it out a little bit. He also did that in his, what was it? In the second half of the King Fountain series, it kind of does the same thing. It's like the story's over, then you've got another 2 chapters to go. So that isn't my favorite thing, but the rest of his writing's really good. So there we go. So the last one is called Broken Veil. Broken Veil is the name of the last one. So that's done, and I'm really excited to get into his Grave Kingdom series, which I believe is inspired by Chinese culture, I think, because the author he visited China or did a research trip in China, something like that. So that'll be interesting to see how that comes along. And I haven't started yet, but I'm excited about it. I'm still reading on this one, Sand Dancer, and I don't know how I feel about this one yet. The world building is good, and hang on, let me show you a picture of what that looks like. So the world building's good. I'm just not super into the protagonist herself. She's a little wishy-washy, and she very much is very impulsive and headstrong in a way that doesn't make sense sometimes. So not to say that people can't be that in real life, but when you're writing a story, sometimes you need to tie things together a little bit better. So it's interesting to see where that goes. I'm also still working on the Sisters of Inishford. I'm about halfway through now. It's different than I was expecting it was going to go, so I'm going to hold off my judgment till I've finished reading it. And then I have this one I've just started reading, Colonize by S.G. Seabourne. I forget how I came across that one. I think they posted something online somewhere. It's sci-fi. I have seen some people say that it cuts off in the middle, but we will see, because it was like published through Kindle Unlimited, like 1 chapter at a time. So I think this is the full version. We'll see. It's sci-fi. I always have to have at least one sci-fi I'm reading. So that's kind of an update on what I'm reading. I did finish the Fated Sun trilogy, which last time I only had it on my Kindle, but I can show you. This is my copy of it, my thick boy, and I loved this trilogy. I don't know if I'll read anything else by the author, because I think this was so good that, like, I feel if I read more, it'll kind of spoil it for me, because, like, she has different worlds and different series and stuff. And if I was going to read more, I'd want to read more about the same universe. But I don't know, just by the end of chapter 4, I was obsessed with it. I listened to it on Audible, and then when I finished reading it, I probably spent another half hour to an hour going back and reading all my favorite passages and just kind of making sure I understood everything, tied it together. It's one of these books that is very smart, and it doesn't tell you everything. You have to figure it out for yourself, which is good. I do not like it when things are spoon-fed to me, either in books or in movies. I like to have some mystery, and I think that comes from me reading a lot of crime novels when I was younger, like Hercule Poirot, lots of whodunits, things like that, lots of mysteries. I read more thrillers when I was younger, honestly, than I read now. I should get back into that. But because of that, I like having things be mysterious and me having to figure it out. And I saw someone say in a review of this that there was so much like world building and jargon that there were sentences that didn't make sense. And I have to admit that while that's true, if you really take the time to read the book, really get into it, it's the secret knowledge, okay? When you read this book and you get into it and you understand it, you really understand it, you will know, okay? And I just gotta read you something from this book because it's so good. Oh, here's this one. I'll try to kind of read it a little bit like the narrator read it. There was a screen in the shrine of the Adun of the people, worked in metals and precious stones and overwritten with ancient things. It was old beyond reckoning, and in every shrine that had ever existed, this very screen had stood between the lamps of bronze that were of equal age with it. In life it marked the division between the Kell and the Sen, the point past which the Kell might not tread. In death, it was no more crossable. Which probably is completely insensible, but I know what it means. And if you read the book, you will know what it means too. Okay? It's the secret knowledge. I grok it. And if you're a true sci-fi fan, you know what that means to say I grok it. I grok this book. Okay? Alright. So, I love that. I can't recommend it highly enough. You need to read it. If you love sci-fi, you need to read it. If you love fantasy, you need to read it. If you love human interest stories, you need to read it. If you love world building, if you love good writing, you need to read it. Okay, so on to the last one. This one, I'm kind of reading slowly. The Edge of the Sword by Rebecca Tingle. And I like this one a lot. I really do. It's slow, but it's also fast at the same time. Like, there's not a lot happening. There's some things that don't really make sense. It's, when I say make sense, it's like the girl's the daughter of a king, and she only gets a bodyguard, like, 3 chapters in. Like, I mean, come on. Also, there's some, like, formatting issues with it, which probably I only noticed because I was really closely looking at my books when I formatted them for publication. But it's published by Speak, which is a Penguin Group division, and they also published The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, so I would think they would know how to format a book because that's one of their most famous ones. But, oh, forgot, in this book is, I don't know if I've ever showed this on camera, but my lovely little bookmarks for THORUNN. I love how they came out, so just while it was there, I've been using it to mark my place. But yeah, there's just sometimes like the thinking is italicized and sometimes it's not, and like I've caught a couple like missing periods and ends of quotation marks, things like that. It's just kind of odd, so a little weird because considering this is professionally published, but it's a good book. It's set in medieval times. It's like a historical fiction, really. It's real characters, but with some made up and some fake adventures that are going on. Weirdly enough, my favorite part of this book is when they're talking about the book bindings. Well, not the binding, but like copying out the letters and stuff. I'm like really into like medieval writing that the monks used to do. I love medieval stuff, so that really captured my interest, and I've been enjoying that. I will tell you the funniest thing about this book, okay, is that I got it last year, and it's aimed at, I think, middle schoolers, but it's still a fun read. But I got it last year at a book sale, And I just thought it looked kind of fun because it's a girl holding a sword. Who doesn't want to read a story about a girl holding a sword? And she's reluctantly betrothed. She will be anything but meek and unlearned. Her marriage will be peace, but she's a target. And when enemies attack, she must draw upon her skills and fight. Okay? Sounded interesting. We haven't gotten to the fighting part yet, but hopefully we will soon. It's not very long. So, but the funniest thing, like I said, I got this last year at a book sale. And when I started reading it, it's the name here, and then the date. You see that? Now you might be wondering, well, yeah, people write their names in books all the time. How is that special? It was one of my friends. It's so funny. And like I said, I covered up the last name, but I know it's her because I know her first and last name. And I was just laughing so hard when I opened this book. I was like, are you kidding me? I accidentally managed to pick up a secondhand copy of a book that used to belong to one of my friends. So I laughed so hard at that, and immediately I texted my friend right away with a picture of it. I was like, look what I found! So, you know, small world, what goes around comes around. And I thought that was hilarious, so I absolutely have to finish this book. Okay, so that's what I'm reading. I will try and link everything in the description box down below. And you can follow along with my reading journeys on Goodreads. Sometimes I post what I'm reading on Instagram as well. But like I said, some books I highly recommend, some I have questions about, I haven't finished them yet, and some that, they're okay. And we'll see where we go from there. And that's the thing about books, like, some of them are great, and some of them, they didn't turn out to be what you expected, and that's okay. What doesn't work for you might be somebody's favorite book, and, you know, maybe a book you hate is a book that pulls someone from a dark place. Maybe a book you think is mediocre is someone's book that, while they hate it, it inspires them to start writing. And your favorite book might be a book that somebody else would turn their nose up at. We're all different, we all have different tastes. So definitely check out all the books I mentioned, even if I don't personally like all of them, or if I love all of them. You never know what might be your next favorite book. Alright, well that is all for now. I will talk to you guys next time. ETJ out.